Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Questbound Reader. Guys, today in the Questbound gang, we're going to go over a very controversial video, and that is my top three most overrated, overhyped fantasy series out there. Prepare to be at odds with me today, and I expect several comments from you guys who are more advanced in the fantasy reading community than I am to kind of dispute these claims. But I remind you, these are my personal opinions, and we all have differences, right? That's why we're talking here on YouTube. So stick around and we'll get right into it, guys. All right, guys, so let's dive right in. All right, so talking about my three most overrated, overhyped fantasy series. Um, Mind you, some of these might hit close to home, but let's get into it. So, starting off, we're going to talk about a series that's been very popular in the more YA community, and it had a very similar Netflix adaptation, and that is The Six of Crows. Guys, okay, I don't know if it's just me personally, but I'm not a fan of heist stories, which is foreshadowing to one of the later series that we're going to be talking about. But it just they don't usually do it for me. Like they don't grasp me and make me want to read more. So the Six of Crows talks about a crew of thieves, pretty much in Ketterdam, and scattered throughout their world, and they're trying to get an object. I'm not going to mention what it is, and pull off this heist. Um, that's that's literally everything I remember. I read this not too long ago, and that's all I can remember. The characters didn't stick to me. The heist aspect didn't stick to me. The fantastical elements did not stick to me. I want to say to DNF, and not not by any means. Like I didn't enjoy reading this book. The author wrote nice. The writing style is nice. That's not what I'm saying. It's just it wasn't memorable. It didn't feel original. I really didn't enjoy reading this. Maybe you guys did. Maybe it felt a little YA to me, although some of the themes are a little darker. But maybe this will appeal more to a younger audience, or maybe if you like, I don't know, like crooks and semi fantastical elements and a semi fantastical world. Maybe this might be up your alley. I don't know. I just didn't really get into, like I said, I tried reading. I read about a third of the book. I don't remember much, and this was probably like a month or two ago. So yeah, not memorable at all. The next book is one that I actually finished the first book and didn't start the second one. I decided not to, even though I have it, and that is Children of Blood and Bone. And I have this really cool edition featuring the Reaper class, and it has like cool like inside stuff. I don't know. It's a nice book. You have my broken spine. Um, this book is like an African inspired fantastical world with magical elements that range from raising the dead to getting inside people's minds and reading their thoughts. I thought it was fun, right? When I first read this book, okay, preface, it's definitely a YA kind of book that I read. This was one of the first books I ever read, actually, and I read it a while ago, and I stopped reading shortly after that because I had no idea how I felt about reading after reading that one. And eventually I got back into it, but this was an interesting story. So let me talk to you about the tropes. So you have the enemies to lover tropes, and you have like I don't want to say like it's not a progression. The main character does progress in her abilities, but it's not significant enough to call it a progression fantasy, and it's too fast paced for that. You have multiple points of views, and pretty much it talks about this world where magic used to exist, and now it's part of legends because the current king, decided to kill off all the magicians, or all the people that had abilities. Right. Fast forward, you have this girl, and she sees her mother being killed in front of her by the king. She's the main character. I won't mention her name. You have the son of the king, who's trying to follow in his footsteps and is, fears being disappointed, or fears disappointing his father. So he carries on this conquest to, eradicate all the remaining magicians. And this girl, she discovers magic in a world where magic is almost killed off completely. She discovers that through a scroll that she accidentally takes. And by touching it, it activates the magic that was inside her. and it shifts part of her hair, turned it a different color. I thought that was cool. It's like, oh well, you know who the magicians are. You just look at the hair. So it was like a distinct feature, but one that doesn't definitely help her at all, since everybody's trying to kill her. So now you have the son of the king who's trying to find her because she's trying to spread magic throughout the world, and she's trying to talk to people about the old like African gods and stuff that people used to worship and gave magic to them. So then she tries to spread magic throughout the land, and it's this story of her trying to spread magic as fast as possible, and these other guys trying to get rid of magic as fast as possible until they collide, bam, and through some twist of fate, the uh, this other party that's trying to kill magic acquires slight magic, and they have a change of heart. It seems like, or one person has a change of heart and tries to do the good moral thing of not wiping out people just because they're different, but ultimately falls to nature and his upbringing and nurture, and he, for lack of a better word, succumbs to the darkness within. I'm gonna say that. I know it's very mysterious. What is he talking about, guys? It's not that serious. The book is fun. I gave it, I think, a 3 out of 5, or that's what I'd give it now if I were rating it again. It was a good read, right? I didn't hate it. I just, to me, here's my biggest con: the whole enemies to lovers. If you're gonna do that sort of trope, which I don't enjoy, but if you're gonna do it, you can't just do it from one page to the next. And that's what I feel like happened here. These people hated each other, and then out of nowhere, oh, maybe I like her. Oh, maybe I like him. I'm never gonna hurt her. I'm never gonna hurt him. And to me, it's like, I guess, but it could have been written in a better way. And I had the second book, and I never got into it because I read it on Goodreads so many times that the second book was worse than the first one. I was like, well, if that's worse, then I'm gonna stop right here. Maybe one day I'll get back to it. Okay, let's move on to our last book of the series. Guys, this is going to be controversial. Don't throw hate comments at me, all right? I know you guys out there are savages. But listen, all right? But listen, this is probably the most overrated series I heard of. And the fact that I have it on this list does not mean that the author is not phenomenal. Does not mean that his other works are bad. Does not mean that this series is bad at all. It just wasn't for me at the time when I was reading it. And that is The Final Empire, right? Book 1 of the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. Guys, I know this version is awesome. It looks really cool, right? Mistborn. I read about, I want to say, a third to half of the book almost. And the magic system is phenomenal, incredible. It seems like it has so much potential to be fantastic. I just couldn't get immersed in the world. I couldn't get into the story. I couldn't follow the perspective of the main characters. And to me, that's something that I need, right? If we're gonna go into this crazy plot of, all right, we're gonna steal from this all powerful king, and we're gonna, down with the system kind of rebellion and stuff like that. I get it. I'm all for it. But you have to make it interesting to me from the start. And that's what I feel like didn't happen, right? Again, maybe it was at the time that I was reading this. Um, Also, the fact that this is a heist story, and heists are not my favorite. Just because I feel like they always under over promise and under present, in their premise and stuff like that. So to me, it didn't click with me. I thought the main character was cool. I understood where she came from. Um, and I understood like the whole, like, hey, welcome to the real world. Let me show you what magic is. Like kind of like Aladdin vibes, a whole new world kind of thing. Like this, I don't know. To me, look, the characters were okay. It took a while to develop some of the characters, and that threw me off a little bit. The bad guys I thought were really cool, and some of the Inquisitors and stuff like that with like the metal spikes and stuff. It's like very hardcore. I thought that was cool, and it's very different. It just took a little bit too long for me to get into it, and the books are not the smallest either. So I was like, well, this is a trilogy, and the first book is starting off really slow for me. So I'm just gonna, pause it here. I'm not gonna DNF it because I didn't hate it. It just I feel like at the time it wasn't for me. So I'll definitely give it a reread. I know this is a series that's very dear to everybody here, so I will definitely give it a reread. Guys, thanks for sticking in. Don't forget to give ourselves or the page a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment below. Let's help this community grow. Let's keep these videos under 10 minutes. And guys, see you soon.